Mark Giardini, FightHype.com, here with renowned trainer Eric Brown, just fresh off the dominant unanimous decision victory by his fighter, The Real Deal. How was the fight, man?
It was a hard one. It was tough. You know, Taras didn't get much sleep last night. He couldn't. He was like having insomnia all night. He was up all night. But he got a couple hours in, and he said he could feel it in the second round. He's like, man, I can feel it. I told him, I said, hey, you're in great shape. You're going to get a second win. You got to bite down for it and go for it, you know. And he did. The guy was very tough. He came after him. He came to win. But Taras had to fight him off, and it was a good fight.
Would you say that was his toughest test yet?
Yeah, probably. I mean, this kid came to fight. Herrera was no quit in him. He was not willing to give it up. So
it seemed like towards the end of the fight, you know, like the later middle rounds, that he really was able, that Real Deal was able to start timing him.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, you know, he was catching the guy with good shots all through the fight, but he was letting the guy off the hook. You know what I mean? Because he was worried about his own stamina. But once we got him to understand, hey man, this is crunch time. You know what I mean? You got to bite down and go for it, no matter what. You know, you're in great shape. You got to trust your conditioning and go for it. You know what I mean? And he started doing it more and more. You know, instead of going away from him so much, he would catch him with something and turn him and get right back on him again. So that made a difference. You can see us taking the gas out of the guy's tank, and that's what we needed.
You know, as a coach, like how valuable was that experience to get that work with Shane Mosley?
Oh, it was invaluable. I mean, Shane Mosley is a great fighter, great champion, and all the rounds he gave us was just invaluable. You couldn't ask for anything better than that.
What other work has he had, you know, in terms of pros?
We've been working with Shane, been working with him and his son, been working with Hugo Centeno, which is one of my fighters, middleweight fighter, and him and Hugo been going at it. And you know, Hugo makes them really work hard. So, and we had a lot of different guys that we got some good work with. So, you know, there was no shortage of good work for him.
What's next for Hugo Centeno, man?
We're fighting on the 10th here in Los Angeles.
Okay, on the Adrien Julian Williams.
That's right.
Speaking of that card, man, I got to ask you, break down Julian Williams versus Jermall Charlo for me, man.
That's going to be a good fight. I mean, if Jermall comes to fight, I think he'll pull out the victory. But you know, Williams is no joke, man. He's going to have to bring his A game in order to pull it out on him. So you know, it's going to be a great night. But watch Hugo.
Absolutely, watch
Hugo's going to make a statement.
So, Paulie Malignaggi, man.
Yeah.
You think he's got more left in the tank?
Paulie can fight whenever Paulie wants to. Paulie is not. It's not a matter of him, you know, not being able to fight. Paulie has to pick and choose his fights because of his schedule. You know, he's a commentator. They work him to death doing that. He's traveling all over the place, and it interferes with his training camps a lot of times. So, you know, Paulie's smart enough. He's taking good care of himself. He's in a position where he can pick what fights he wants to fight.
Now, would you want to see the rematch between Adrien Broner and Paulie Malignaggi? You know,
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. I think if the timing is right, and they, you know, he had ample time to get ready for the fight without any interruptions from the commentary, I think it'd be a great fight because he won the first fight.
So, I got to ask you about Adrien Broner, man, because you know you've been up against him in the ring, but let's talk about him out of the ring, man. He's had a lot of distractions right now. I don't know if you've been following.
Yeah.
Is it possible, you know, in your opinion, for him to be able to bounce back with all the drama that's been surrounding him outside the ring?
Well, you know, Adrien is who he is, and he's always had that kind of drama around him. Even at the height of his career, he's always had drama around him. Whether or not it's gotten worse, whether or not it's taken away from his abilities, it's hard to say. He seems to thrive on it. So he's a great fighter. I hope that if he do make it happen, his focus is together, and he comes in there and puts his best fight on. But I believe if Paulie's in shape and he's really ready to go for this fight, Paulie beats him again.